Hello, today on my 2017 Porsche Macan I'm going to try and resolve why the wheel is sitting further back than it should be on the front right hand driver's side. I first noticed that when I got the car that it was sitting further back, and it does actually rub if the wheel is turned. There's two suspension parts because if they're needing replaced, the one on the left that you see there, it's actually cheaper from Porsche, although it's branded an Audi part. It's actually cheaper buying it from Porsche than buying it from Audi. It's, I think, the same as used on the Q5 and A6, and the other part I got it from 9 Apart, even though it is a new part, even though they're primarily a breakers. So I've got hopefully relevant sized sockets and spanners to get the nuts and bolts and that off, and pickle fork probably required as well. So I'm going to get the car jacked up and on axle stands to support it, get the wheel off and get into getting these replaced hopefully.
So I've got three of the fittings loosened. This one at the back here, I was able to get a 80mm spanner on that end. Almost as soon as it starts turning, then the whole bolt wants to move. Got to hold the other end with another 80mm spanner, sitting no space to get a socket in. This one at the back here, again, managed to get 18mm. Well, I was able to get 18mm socket on that one because a bit more space. But as soon as it starts turning, it's actually an M12 splined headed bolt, so I've got to hold it with a bit for that. The drop link here is loosened there, again 18mm spanner on that, and able to get a socket on the other end to hold it, so that's also loosened. However, the behind the hub here, can't quite see it, maybe just there, it's actually a 20mm. It seems like maybe Audi are using 18mm, certainly from what I've seen on some videos, but turns out they're 20mm, so not able to get them loosened because I don't actually have a 20mm spanner, so I'll go get one of them and then get back to try and remove these other last couple of fittings. Just as I thought, it just looks, with it being out of alignment, just makes it a little bit harder to get into a couple of the bolts and nuts to get loosened, but hopefully once I've removed them it will be easier to fit back up.
So I measured again, and actually it's 21mm nuts that are on both the suspension parts. That meant that I did actually have a 21mm socket on my impact gun, so I was able to get the lower nut loosened. I'm not probably going to be able to show you around there, but under there is a nut that's been loosened. Obviously I jacked up the suspension to be able to get the impact gun under, because obviously not that much clearance and obviously not got a lift, and that's then meant I'm able to get a spanner on 21mm spanner onto the top nut, and it is also turning, so it's coming loose. I think I've got all of the nuts that actually loosened now. It's a case of actually taking them fully off, and then well, seeing particularly how I'm going to get this bolt at the back out. Obviously it doesn't look as if the bolt's going to come fully out. I think it must go partly back and allow the suspension piece to fall out, rather than the bolt being fully removed. So need a bit of investigation on that, but I'm sure a bit of thought to it, it should hopefully come out. So despite having a pickle fork and a ball joint splitter, neither of them are actually wide enough at the bottom. Obviously things have grown over time, because I originally had these for early 9/11 1972, and that was able to split them fine. It was the right size, but obviously things have grown over time clearly, and you know, it just won't fit over this. It'll fit this particular pickle fork will fit over here, but obviously because it's tapered, it's far too far up it before it would actually fit over. So I need one that's wider, or I need to get one more similar style to this, but obviously wider at the bottom. Certainly for taking this one off, because although this piece obviously sits in here and therefore is swapped over, you know, tapered piece actually stays on the hub. So I'll need to be a bit more careful when I'm removing that one to make sure I don't damage it. So I'll have to make sure I get that before I can continue with this piece. So to be continued. I went to get a larger ball joint splitter, but it's just not able to get enough purchase to prise out the ball joint. I've tried applying a bit of pressure by using the jack underneath to try and lift it from underneath while I try and lever it as well, and it's just not wanting to come. So it's been a bit frustrating day. It's really only got 2 nuts loose, which is not much progress. I'll really have to go and have a further think about what to do. Probably need to get a better tool for actually getting them out. The other splitter that I've got has just not got enough reach either to fit over the hub assembly. So certainly, you know, might need. There's 2 obviously to be released. One where I can burst the rubber seal that's keeping the grease in. The other one, I don't want to burst that. So I'll need to look further at that. But anyway, so we have part 2 for this to follow. So thanks anyway for watching. Cheers. So just at the end of the day, I thought I'll see about fitting a couple of parts. It seemed to be quite an unproductive day with the front suspension. So I thought I'll just see about fitting the impact sensors, front impact sensors. You can just see the screw at the top here. I actually had to take the intercooler bracket off because it fits in really from the back, and it was obviously from the little plastic piece here that I just couldn't get the orientation right. It was going to sit on top. Although certainly from the Porsche parts diagram, the way the expanded diagram shows it, it did look as if it was supposed to go in from the top, which confused me a little bit. But anyway, that's fitted. I was able to then reach for the one on the other side, the passenger side. I didn't need to take that one off because then I knew which way it was going in. And there's actually a hole underneath the screw goes up and through, so that's fine. But taking it off was also really what I was going to have to do to get best access for fitting the new pipes, which I've got here, which are for the both pipes that go for the ATF fluid cooling that goes into the radiator. So on the front here we have a bit of a join in the pipe. The old 2 pipes were joined together just to make sure they weren't leaking when there was no radiator, but I've also got to take that out, and as you can see the flexible bits of these which match to the flexible bits here. So obviously I need to reach back in and get it disconnected. Obviously ATF fluid will come out at that point, so I need to catch that. But this is another place where Porsche parts diagram's good. Doesn't show you absolutely everything, because I ended up buying a couple of O-rings because the O-rings aren't shown as, they are shown as a separate part, but they're not shown as being a part that you get when you buy this. However, when I take the cap off here, I can see that there is, sorry, wrong end. If I take the cap off at the other end, I can see that there is actually an O-ring already there. Not the biggest deal, but it's just a slight inconsistency because for the similar aircon pipes, it does show that the O-ring does come with the last piece of piping that connects to the condenser. So yeah, just slight inconsistencies. Obviously buying slightly more parts than I need, but given the in the grand scale of things, it's not huge. Anyway, I won't be fitting these pipes today because it's going to take a bit more work than I've got time for. But anyway, thanks again for watching. Cheers.